My friends, we've discussed Runway Agent 22, GoldenEye's oldest standing record. We've bore witness to Damn Agent 52, beating GoldenEye's formerly oldest standing record. So today, why don't we talk about GoldenEye's second oldest standing record, Surface 1 Agent 102. While Damn Agent 53 stood from September 2002 to December 2017, 5,545 days, and Runway Agent 22 has stood since March 9, 2004, now climbing over 5,700 days, Surface 1 Agent 102 was originally set by Dave Clemens on February 15, 2008, or just over 4,200 days ago. It's since been tied by only 48 other people, which is much lower than the hundreds of people who had tied Runway Agent 22 or Damn Agent 53. An average of fewer than 5 people per year are able to tie Surface 1 102. And all the world records older than this one have been beaten in the past couple of years, with of course the exception of Runway Agent 22. So, why is Surface 1 102 so much harder to match than its contemporaries? And why has it not been improved upon? This raises only one question. Is Surface 1 Agent 101 possible? Surface 1, the fourth level of 20 in GoldenEye, Agent difficulty, the easiest, is really one of the most straightforward and, by some measures, the least luck-based in the entire game. You simply just strafe across the snow, eliminate this guard if you wish for his KF7, enter this building, press B at this computer to shut it down, strafe out of the building to this ventilation tower, warp up the ladder by switching weapons or otherwise manipulating leg, shoot off 4 locks, each lock taking 2 bullets apiece to destroy, fall through the hole, and mission over. I should point out here that the first 103 ever set by Boss in 2003 used very skillful sniper rifle shots for the locks, but since then it's widely agreed that the KF7 is faster for the locks. The PP7 is pretty useless, by the way, since it only has 7 shots in the clip, the lock's taking 8 shots, so you'd have to reload before destroying them all. Yeah, not ideal or fast, and none of the 102s set since then have ever used the sniper rifle, so the KF7 it is. So let's look at the first 102 as our benchmark 102, and see if enough new time savers have been discovered since it was first set nearly 12 years ago. Clemens would have achieved this after dozens of hours of grinding, getting many low 103s, slowly inching towards 102 frame by frame, until getting what we can reasonably expect is a high 102, 102 and 29 out of 30 frames, or 102.97. The first main time save we have is the use of a 2.x control style to begin the level in full speed, discovered in 2010, 2 years after Clem's original 102. This saves 0.36 seconds, bringing our theoretical time down to 102.61. However, playing with 2 controllers is a lot harder than playing with just one, so chances are you're not going to play quite as good as Clem's original 102 if you're using 2.x. You might lose a frame or two at some strafe changes, or while opening a door. But there are some 2.x masters who are really good with the style, so let's say you could play perfectly with the control style, we're still 0.61 off our goal. So let's see. One of the more interesting 102s was this one by Leonardo Santos, the third person to ever get the time in May 2008. He watched the entire intro cutscene, and a guard ended up in the perfect position to boost him as he left the communications tower. A boost usually saves about 0.3 seconds, however, of the 48 other 102s on the GoldenEye rankings, none of them have this boost on their 102. It's either that rare, or there's something else at work here. You'd see this boost a lot more on 103 and 104 pace runs, so it's theorized that you're more likely to not only get this boost, but even lure the guard to that position where he could boost you if your lines are slightly suboptimal and your run is slower than ideal. This would mean you'd be too slow, of course, for the boost to transform your 103 pace run into a 101. There's also been speculation that SANTOS may have used an overclocked N64 for much of his GoldenEye speedrunning, based off posts he made on a Brazilian gaming forum about overclocking your N64. And while this is just unproven speculation, given that no one else has received this boost on 102 pace, might this suggest that overclocking the console might have messed with the guard's position or pacing, and this boost is simply not receivable on 102 pace under normal circumstances? So relying on this boost is dubious at best, and if there is a way to lure the boost with slightly suboptimal strafe lines, it wouldn't save the full 0.3 seconds. But for the sake of the argument right now, let's say it does, and we're down to 102.31. The next discovery is this weird thing where if you crouch at the end, as you're falling into the hole, it saves some time, roughly 0.15 seconds. This is a weird counterintuitive time save, as the game generally doesn't interpret Bond's height, instead just rendering his position as a 2D circle on the ground. This is why, for example, you can't go under these tall rolling doors on Depot, even if you're crouching, until they're fully open. But the Surface 1 ventilation tower is one of the rare exceptions in the game where crouching to make your height smaller does have an effect, unloading the level as soon as Bond's height passes under the plane of the grate. So take that 0.15 seconds and now we're down to 102.16, needing another 0.2 of a second. Where can it possibly come from? Oh, great idea! We should have thought about this earlier. Yes, just get a grenade from a guard, throw it at the locks, and just fall through the hole, saving the time you'd normally spend shooting out the locks. This'll do it for sure. Except it won't, because you can't get a grenade without a massive detour, taking way more time than the 1 or 2 seconds it'd save. You see, Surface 1, like many other levels, has both patrolling guards, who mostly wield KF-7s, and spawning guards, who wield either clobs or snipers. And on Surface 1, only spawning guards can pull grenades. So what's the issue? Well, guards don't start spawning until some certain criteria have been met. On the bonus 007 mode, spawning guards start spawning right away, right as you load into the mission. You can see here, right off the bat, this is a spawning guard who could plausibly pull a grenade. On 00 Agent and Secret Agent, these guards don't spawn right away, but do once you've entered one of these rooms or areas on the map. You can't get to the ventilation tower without crossing these rooms, so any progress through the depths of the level will start spawning guards. So how do we get spawning guards on Agent? Well, not only do you have to enter one of these rooms, but you also have to kill this large key holding guard in this cabin. Given this entire errand was for the sake of saving the 2 seconds it takes to destroy the locks, the detour to kill the large key guard is simply too far out of the way, meaning the strategy will not save time. Yeah, there are some pretty crazy ways to lure the guard out of the cabin and kill him that way, as you might have seen in the infamous M strat, but this still wastes more time than you can afford to get Surface 1 Agent 101. So what now? Well, the last resort, faster locks. Remember, taking Clemens' first 102 as the baseline, subtracting every known time saver, both viable and dubious, we're down to 102.16, needing about 6 frames cut for 101. If we can find a run with 6 frame faster locks than Clemens' 102, 101 is maybe theoretically possible. Browsing through all the 102 runs and asking around, most people seem to agree that these locks of Ryan Gibbs' 102 are the fastest, at least by the eyeball test. I compared these to Clem's 102 locks and am immediately met with, Well, all the issues you'd expect in comparing footage captured with different hardware, software, and basically every other setting. If you're looking for the moment the level starts to fade out, it appears Gibbs' run fades out 4 visible frames, or roughly 0.12 seconds, ahead of Clemens. Now remember, Gibbs would have used the crouch ending strategy while Clemens didn't, which is 0.15 seconds faster. So this would mean that Clemens' locks were actually 1 frame faster. However, if you compare the time when the successful cutscene ending the level plays, Gibbs only appears 2 frames ahead of Clemens. This discrepancy is likely because of the different video capture methods used, which really makes this whole exercise unreliable. But let's try it again anyways. Here are 3 other 102s which caught my eye: Swiss, Frost Hops, and Rich No. If we line up these 3 against Clemens' 102, just as they grab the ladder and watch them play out, Swiss's mission fades out first. 1 frame later, Frost Hops, 2 frames later, Rich No, and 2 frames after that, Clemens. This means the locks on Clemens' 102, the original 102 from 2008, were 5 frames or 0.15 seconds slower than the best of these 3 102s. 0.15 seconds is again the amount of time saved at the crouch ending, which the other 3 runs all used, but Clemens didn't. This means from what we've seen that Clemens' 102 locks are among the very best ever seen on Surface 1 Agent. So among world record runs, there's really no more time we can take off our previous figure of 102.16. Another key here is the amount of KF7 shots fired. The KF7 fires in bursts of 3 at a time, and generally a 102 will have 15 or 18 shots fired, 5 or 6 bursts. Crouching can interrupt a burst, so the newer 102s might have 16 or 17 shots fired. The video clip starts with 30 shots, so with some quick math, we can see that of these 102s, Rich No fires 16 shots, Frost Hops 17, Swiss 18, and Clemens 18. Counterintuitively, despite Swiss firing more shots, his cutscene comes up first, then Frost Hops, then Rich No, in reverse order of shots fired. This might show the degree that a lag can affect the speed of shots fired, and how useless this experiment and comparison really is. If we add in Gibbs' run, who fired only 15 shots, the fewest ever, we get only more confusion. Swiss's 18-shot locks are still fastest, then Gibbs' 15 and Frost Hop's 17 are next by 1 frame, then 2 frames later we see Rich No's 16 shots. So yeah, there's no method to this madness. Of course, might a 12-shot 4-burst ending be possible at full speed? Based on what we've seen, would a 12-shot locks even really be faster or fast enough for 101? Maybe, but we don't really know, and it's not something we can test in a tool-assisted speedrun, since the lag there is so different from a console run. More on that in a minute. So, are we stuck? Well, not quite. There are a couple more things to consider. First, let's look at this one. If you've ever played Surface 1 yourself, you might have noticed if you fall off the top of the ladder, it might look like you've unloaded the solid walls of the tower and could clip through it into the unloading zone, skipping the locks. This has been explored a few times and usually gets debunked as impossible or being unable to unload the level that way. However, I wonder if fresh eyes and technology can shed any new light on this possibility. That being said, given how fussy out-of-bounds clips can be, even if by some miracle this was discovered to work, it may not end up saving any time at all. Could use another look, perhaps, but not worth holding your breath. So now is the time for our last resort. Let's watch the tool-assisted speedrun done by SCAREDMIX in 2013, knowing very well that humans aren't capable of locks as seen here. Alright, a time of 59 seconds is cool and all, but did you catch that? As SCAREDMIX was approaching the ventilation tower, he had just the right angle to see into the grate area, fire a couple of shots, and break one of the locks. In fact, if we watch this clip using the RCP-90s to shoot at the locks, we can see that if you shoot through the other side of the tree texture, you can unload the tower in such a way that all the locks are hittable. Now, let me be clear, this has been played around with before, and no one has ever hit more than one shot on one lock when testing this without cheats on, but it is at least theoretically possible. Just how many lock hits would you need to save enough time for 101? One lock completely off? 2 shots on 2 separate locks? If we look at my Surface 1 Agent 102, we can see I spent a slightly more than ideal amount of time on this 3 o'clock position lock. What if I was able to shoot it off before even getting there and could skip it completely? Would this be enough for 101? If we agree we need to save 0.2 seconds more for 101, then probably yes. But if we recall the unreliability of the SANTOS boost, then we probably need to save 0.5 seconds, and shooting off one more lock might still not be enough. So, in conclusion, is Surface 1 Agent 101 possible? Honestly, we don't really know. The whole locks through trees strategy is far too theoretical and unexplored to make a call. It could turn out that we've been drastically overestimating its difficulty, and within a few weeks someone will figure out a consistent way to get rid of a lock or two, making 101 viable, but it's also possible that this method is completely useless in non-tool assisted speedrunning, and we're right back to the drawing board. Since 2008, we've added a couple ingredients that for sure take off 0.5 seconds from the run, but we still need a couple more ingredients for another 0.5, and while the locks through the trees strategy is simmering away for now, it's just not quite ready yet. Lastly, I'll suppose that maybe the way to Surface 1 101 is to simply warp the ladder, chaotically spray your KF7, and hope that maybe once in 10,000 runs, it just so happens all the locks come flying off. Crazier things have happened after all. Good luck to you. So there's the analysis of Surface 1 Agent and whether or not 101 is possible. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to crouch a like onto the video. It'd be truly appreciated. In the meantime, stay true, my friends, and I'll see you in the next stream or video.